are we overlooking Joseph Parker ahead of this fight with Daniel Dubois? And I ask that question because Turki Al-Sheikh gave an interview with Carl Froch, and he basically mentioned that one of the fights he wanted to do, amongst others, was Dubois versus Usyk, or I should really say Usyk versus Dubois 2. Now, to make that fight, Usyk would have to stay in boxing. We don't necessarily know yet what he's going to do yet with regards, will he retire, will he stay in the game? We don't fully know yet, right? Now, also in order to make that fight, you would need to make sure that Dubois gets past Joseph Parker. Now, I know the overwhelming majority of people who are listening and watching this video will say he probably should. And yeah, look, I'm not normally a betting man, but if I was a betting man, I would be betting money on Daniel Dubois to win this fight, definitely. But let's not forget, Joseph Parker is a former WBO heavyweight champion. His resume is quite good. In fact, Deontay Wilder was a former WBC champion. Who's got the better resume? In my opinion, it's Joseph Parker. No question about it. Yes, Joseph Parker, at times when he's really stepped up to the highest level, against Joe Joyce, he made a lot of mistakes and he just couldn't put a dent in Joe Joyce at all. And he ultimately got taken out. Against Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte, Joshua, the referee, didn't help. But it didn't help either guy. Not like Joshua could do anything on the inside either. But in that fight, it seemed like he was almost happy to, and he already talked about, going and winning this fight on points against Anthony Joshua. So you could tell that the knockout was never even in his mind. Going into the Principality Stadium, I believe that's where that fight was against Joshua. You need to go in there with I gotta win by any means. I gotta knock this guy out. And against Dillian Whyte, he only really got stuck into the fight in the 12th round. By then it was too late. A fight he really should have won, to be honest with you, but he started too late. He had that BS knockdown scored against him in round 2, and it cost him a fight that he really, as I said, should have won. And that was a much younger and fresher Joseph Parker. Him going in there against Daniel Dubois, a lot of people are saying, I understand that Dubois is going to win. But let's just take a step back. How often during these Riyadh shows have we seen Turkey or the promoter Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn say that, we want to see this fight next, and you're like, excuse me, elephant in the room, both guys haven't had their respective fights yet, or one guy has, the other guy has his work to do, like with Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. When Anthony Joshua beat Francis Ngannou, there was a lot of talk that he'd face the winner between Fury and Usyk. Well, actually, it was more so Fury. Simple as. It was more so, will he face Fury? It's like, hang on a minute. Fury's to get by Usyk. Let's wait. All right? Fury doesn't get by Usyk. Then it's Joshua versus Dubois. And then the talk is, what about Fury versus Joshua next? Fury hadn't even gone into the rematch with Alexander Usyk yet. Joshua loses. You see what I mean? Wilder versus Joshua, March 2024. If they both win their respective fights, it was Joseph Parker who upset the apple cart that night. You can't, at the highest level, especially with heavyweights, you can't just plan ahead because strange things happen. The great Murray Walker used to say, anything can happen, and it usually does. And that can happen in any sport, especially heavyweight boxing, because it's so unpredictable. The press conference for this fight, well, actually, the press conference as a whole for Beterbiev Bivol, and this being the co-main. Strange that, isn't it? Co-main, such a good card. It's happening in London on Monday. I'm going to go to that myself. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Joseph Parker has to say with regard to this, because he really is coming into this fight off a good run of form, albeit he's been inactive. He'll be out of the ring nearly a year by the time this fight comes around. But at the end of the day, he lost to Joe Joyce 2 years ago. He fought Jack Massey, I think of his name there, Jack Massey. Didn't look good in that fight. Then I think he fought a guy called Simon Keane, or that might have actually been the fight after, but he fought some guy, I can't even remember, maybe in Australia or somewhere like that. Beat him, fought that Simon Keane guy, blew him out. That was on the undercard of Fury versus Ngannou. And then he goes and he fights Deontay Wilder, wins that, goes in there with Zhilei Zhang, wins that, so he's on a good run of form. The only problem, and it's a big problem, is he went from being extremely active to no fights whatsoever for the last year. That could really be the difference between these two. The fact that Dubois has maintained that level of activity. Miller, Hrgovic, Joshua, now he's in, and Usyk before that actually, and now he's in there with Joseph Parker. So he's been consistent over the last year and a bit, over the last 18 months or so. Having said that, Joseph Parker is not Anthony Joshua in terms of stylistically, they're very, very different. Joseph Parker won't be making the same mistakes Anthony Joshua made from a defensive point of view. He is quite cute when he wants to be Joseph Parker. He's definitely not the puncher that Anthony Joshua is, but saying that, Joshua never, the only time he ever really landed was in that 5th round. And even then, Dubois to me wasn't, badly hurt or anything like that. So Dubois seems to take a somewhat decent shot. And yeah, I would say that Joseph Parker doesn't hit as hard as Filip Hrgovic either. So power, the problem is you don't want to go in there thinking this guy can't punch and then be, suddenly surprised. You don't want to do that. Jaime Munguia will tell you that this guy can't punch. He's knocked out cold nearly. So you want to be wary of that. But Joseph Parker, he does have fast hands. He physically up close, yeah, you can bully him. And I think Dubois, even if he's maybe not necessarily heavier, because Dubois has been in the high 240s lately, Parker's been coming into 250s, which I think is the wrong weight for him, to be honest with you. But he'll probably still be the physically stronger of the two, Dubois. He'll definitely be the harder puncher. The jab will be good. But I think that Parker is quite cute. He picks his shots very well, and that he could cause some problems. At the end of the day, upsets happen in boxing when you don't expect them. Turkey has been doing this before. He's planning this fight. He's looking down the lines for this fight, and then this fighter comes in and upsets it all. Could this happen again? Could we see a repeat of that? To be honest with you, I wouldn't necessarily rule it out, because I think Parker is good enough. He's only 33 thereabouts, so he's not, even by heavyweight standards, I know he's been around a long time, but even by heavyweight standards, he's not that old. So look, I wouldn't be necessarily ruling him out of this fight. I think that Joseph Parker, the activity is going to be a problem. Probably the lack of, he's not feather fisted, but he doesn't have that elite power that the kind of guys like Joshua, Wilder, although Wilder never threw that right hand that whole fight, but you get what I mean. But he is cuter than a lot of those guys. So let's not, and look, I'm sure he hits harder than Kevin Lerena. And look what Kevin Lerena was able to do in the first round against Daniel Dubois. So let's not necessarily rule Joseph Parker out of the fight just yet. As I said, it's going to be interesting to see these two face to face on Monday evening, and just see what they say. Will Parker, address the fact that he's seen as the underdog? We kind of know what Daniel Dubois is going to say. Huh? That, yeah, pretty much. I pretty much summed up his press conference there in a nutshell. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see these two guys on Monday, and really see what we're dealing with. Fight day is not a million miles away. It's Monday's the 13th, so we're roughly 5 or 6 weeks away. I'll be home in Dublin for that show, so I'll be able to do a lot of the work back in Dublin for that show, which I'm looking forward to be honest, which is going to be good fun. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Do you think Joseph Parker has a chance in here? Do you think we're overlooking and overestimating Daniel Dubois' chances in this fight? Let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, all that good stuff, and until next time, peace.